12月18号，海南自贸港全岛
原来是要抢
自己在亚洲贸易
新加坡的饭碗，物流成本直接砍掉，降30%，还有
Wait, what? Singapore is panicking again? If you have been scrolling TikTok lately, you have probably seen videos like this. Different faces, same message, Singapore is declining, Hainan is rising, and somehow Singapore is once again on the brink. This story appeared every few years. Only the setting changes. So today, instead of reacting emotionally, let's slow this down and ask a simple question. Is this real economic analysis, or are we watching a familiar myth being recycled? There's a pattern to these narratives. Whenever Singapore is said to be finished, there's always a replacement waiting in wings. You might have heard it, the Thailand Canal project, the idea that a new canal, backed by Chinese investment, will bypass the Malacca Strait and render Singapore irrelevant. It sounds dramatic, it sounds strategic, and it sounds very convincing if you don't look too close. The Thailand Canal idea is not new. It's been discussed for over a century, long before modern Singapore even exists. Every time it resurfaces, it's framed as a game changer, a shortcut that will replace Singapore. But here's the reality. Canals don't replace hubs. They shorten routes, that's all. The Suez Canal didn't eliminate Mediterranean hubs. The Panama Canal didn't destroy global shipment center. What makes a hub valuable isn't distance, it's coordination. And Thailand itself has always been cautious. Security concerns, environmental cost, domestic politics. Yet, the canal myth keeps coming back because it serves a psychological purpose. It tells people, we don't depend on anyone else. We can replace them. That emotional reassurance matters more than economic logic. Today, the new replacement is Hainan Free Trade Port. Once again, the story is familiar. Singapore is panicking, Hainan is rising, the world is shifting. But before we talk about panic, we need to ask a much more basic question. What exactly is Singapore? Because if you misunderstand that, everything that follows will be wrong. Singapore is often described simply as a port. That description hides more than it reveals. The vast majority of the containers passing through Singapore are not meant for Singapore. They are passing through, being reorganized, financed, insured, and legally secured. Singapore is not competing to be cheap. It never did. It competes by being predictable. Ships come to Singapore because schedule hold, contracts are enforced, disputes are resolved neutrally, and nothing requires special arrangement. This is why Singapore remains attractive even when costs are higher. What it sells here is not space on the dock, it sells low risk. Hainan Free Trade Port, by contrast, operates in a very different logic. Hainan is designated to improve efficiency within China's own system. It offers tax incentives, policy support, and administrative convenience. For companies whose business face China, Chinese firms, or foreign firms deeply tied to China market, this makes sense. Hainan is not pretending to be neutral. It is strategic, domestic, and policy-driven. And there's nothing wrong with that. The problem begins when people pretend this makes Hainan a substitute for Singapore. It doesn't. One serves global trade under neutral rules, the other serves China-centric trade under administrative control. They are doing different jobs. This is where many TikTok economists lost the plot. You'll hear numbers thrown around, impressive growth here, small declines there, but notice how these figures are used. There's no explanation of scale, no discussion of transshipment versus direct trade, no mechanism showing how a global shipping network would actually shift. Real economic analysis asks how and why. Propaganda just declares what, and the language gives it away. Economists don't usually talk about panic or collapse, they talk about incentives, structure, and risks. When emotion replaces mechanism, what you are watching isn't analysis, it's storytelling. So, no, Singapore is not panicking, and no, Hainan Free Trade Port is not taking over Singapore's role in global trade. They exist in different systems for different users under different rules. Understanding that difference is the line between analysis and propaganda. And once you see the pattern, it's hard to unsee it.